so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take about a minute and a half to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm sincerely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and grandest version of themselves. So if you've been looking for a way to easily get organic superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, like I was doing before I found Purium, I highly recommend going to positivehead.com/transformation and checking out the videos and interviews there where I dive deeply into discussions explaining why I take these products every day. And should you ultimately end up on iShopPurium.com to purchase any of their 50 plus amazing superfood products, be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for a 25% discount. All right, all you positive heads, welcome. Here we grow again. So grateful to be back with you as always. It is a terrific Thursday here. Fantabulous even in the studio as I record. And today I've decided I'm going to pick up a book and read. It's been a minute. It's been months since I've done that. And I really enjoy that process. And I know you guys do too. And so what I decided I'm going to read from is a book called The Third Millennium. And it's written by Ken Carey, who wrote Return of the Bird Tribes, which I believe Erica might have read from a few times. One of my favorite books. He also wrote the Starseed Transmissions. And so Third Millennium is, it's been many, many years since I read it. And so I thought I would just pick it up off the shelf and read. And, he had quite the story that all this content sort of came through him in sort of a channeled fashion. And I always say about channeling, I don't know if it's happening exactly as they think or not. Really isn't that important to me. What's most important is what is the content of the transmission. And his writing is super beautiful, poetic, visionary, and I've really, like I said, Return of the Bird Tribes is one of my favorites, and it's been a long time since I've read this one. So I just thought it would be really fun to pick it up and just read a little bit from it today. Before I do, I would like to take a moment to read a review on iTunes. You guys know I love getting my iTunes reviews. They not only help us to reach new people, but they also help to fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. So if you haven't reviewed, please do so. I think they're doing away with iTunes and going to make it like separate. One thing for music, one thing for podcasts. So hopefully all these reviews transfer over. Certainly they would. I don't want to lose any of these. Yeah, maybe someone out there can go and like document them all for me, scrape them off the site. If one of you does that, I definitely don't want to lose all these in that transition, because they're like fuel for my soul. And this one came in by January WV, and January WV wrote, "Consider me leveled up, delivered as promised. I happily discovered this podcast a few months ago in an evolving search to gain insight and skills to keep my frequency from lengthy dips. I didn't want to spend weeks at a time feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and grumpy. I want to enjoy more time as a woman, wife, and mother. Thank you, Brandon, and your fellow podcasters for helping me reach a strong, positive potential. I cannot wait to see what new layers I uncover each week. And not only am I enjoying it so much at 40 years old, but how cool that my 13, 10, and 7-year-old get a decade's early jump start on learning how to quote unquote find their happy, as we commonly simplify it in my house. So much appreciation sent your way from Morgantown, West Virginia. XOXO January." Oh, I love that. It definitely excites me to hear about young ones, being exposed to this kind of information, because it obviously, look how empowering it is. So if you can, especially, at 7 years old, take this perspective and start applying it to your life view and how you navigate reality and stressful situations and, what's going on here and where am I going to go when I die? And, you take all of this and you just put it into a young mind, and it's like, oh my gosh, like so empowered. It's like my son, he's, been hearing this stuff since he can remember, and he's the most put together young man. Like he's just like really, really just so wise. And a lot of times I'll be talking to him about something. I mean, he'll correct me. So it's like, he's like, well, actually, he sort of takes that parent sort of vibe sometimes whenever I'm out of alignment. So, it's really cool that we can even have that kind of a relationship, right? And yeah, so congratulations to you, January. Tell all of your children I said hello. Congratulations to them, because they're doing it. We're doing it. And I am going to start my reading now from the Third Millennium. Before I do, actually, I just want to throw out, if you guys are feeling inspired to potentially come to the Mystic Manor, optimistic, I don't know, if you have checked out the video that I put together, you definitely should do that if you haven't, and get an idea of what the show is going to entail. And of course, I'm co-creating it with all of you. So I would love if you would reach out to me. You can drop me an email, brandon@positivehead.com, if you're interested in learning more about it, or you can even just go schedule yourself on my calendar to chat for 15 minutes. Calendly.com/optimistic show, all one word. And of course, mystic is spelled MYSTIC. Calendly is CALENDLY.com. So calendly.com/optimistic show. I would love to chat with you guys. We've got over 40 folks now out of the 111 spots. So they're filling up, and I'm getting, we start shooting the end of July. So it's coming quickly. So much juggling going on in my world, and so excited about all the things. I just found out we're going to have a full, if you go and look at, by the way, before I start reading, I'll throw this out because this is really exciting. If you go and look at on YouTube, Lucidity Festival or Branches Mobile Art Gallery. So one of the co-founders of Lucidity, Luke, old friend of mine, is just connecting with him, and he runs Branches Mobile Art Gallery as well. And if you YouTube it, you'll see, or go find it on social media or what have you. But they basically set up these epic bamboo structures with all this super, super inspired, spirit-centric, visionary art. And we're going to have a structure in the backyard, a bamboo structure with visionary art, all throughout the house, visionary art. It's going to be the Mystic Manor just got really, really mystical after connecting with Luke. And so it's going to be, I mean, just the thought of having like a Branches style art gallery at the house where people can even purchase the art if they want. And all throughout the house, I'm just like, oh my gosh, the vibe is going to be just so incredible. So I'm super, super excited about that. Hope you guys can come and check it out. So anyway, yeah, if anything, check out YouTube and you can see what type of art I'm talking about. Like Android Jones, who was actually an early powwow soul share. Actually, I changed it to soul share, right? Because powwow might be offensive to some folks. But I think back then I might have still called it powwow. But anyway, he's a visionary artist that, that type of artwork. So, yeah, check it out if you get a chance. All right, I'm going to pick up the Third Millennium here, read a little bit from Ken Carey, Living in the Post-Historic World. And I'm going to read the preface just so you guys have some story, right? I love a good story, and his is a good one, on how he landed writing this material. It was December 27th. I was in bed with a fever, yet I felt more elated than ill. Something about the consciousness I was swimming in, living, being in, seemed strangely familiar, as if my vision were coming into focus after a lifetime of double images. Without the calm, reasoning guidance of the voice I heard speaking to me, I'm not sure I would have made it through this stage. But someone or something was helping me along, identifying itself as a part of me that I had forgotten, an eternal part. I am a spirit being in the eternal fields of light, it said. I am you as you remain beyond material illusion, as you were, will be, and are now, before and after the spell of matter. My handwriting being quite illegible, my only method of recording anything of the amazing stream of consciousness I had somehow stumbled upon was to type what I could of it on an old Royal portable typewriter that my brother-in-law found sitting on the curbside one day as he made his rounds as a garbage collector in Darien, Connecticut. But it was a strange sort of communication, unsettling at first. I found myself experiencing a consciousness radically different from anything I'd ever before encountered. And it was too close for comfort. I felt as if something enormous were looking through my eyes, seeing the same room I saw every day, but interpreting it oh so differently. Mathematically, it seemed, that I hardly recognized even the most familiar of my daily objects. The thoughts, the ideas, the scope of the images, I was not used to thinking in such terms. I was unprepared and not always able to follow. I balked in outright disbelief when the voice first suggested that this was some kind of extraterrestrial intelligence I was encountering, an explanation that even now I do not accept without qualification. But despite the fact that my mind frequently lagged behind, on an emotional level, my heart and soul were experiencing a blissful, almost sexual feeling of fulfillment. I felt a peace that I could not account for, a sense of well-being deeper than I had ever known. When I understood what was being said, it was so wonderful that I felt like a child on Christmas morning. In a strange way, it was almost as if I were remembering things rather than being told them. It was all I could do to keep my fingers in the vicinity of the ancient machine that, thanks to a generous dose of WD-40, was continuously tapping out some partial accounts of the thoughts that were rippling wave-like through my awareness. Several times I forgot to put wood in the stove until my numb feet reminded me of the winter creeping in under the door. When this experience continued into a second day, I told my wife Sherry that although I did not understand what was going on, I felt a need to follow through with it and see where it was leading. I asked her to make sure that I was not disturbed for the next few days. If our friends or neighbors come over, I said, ask them to come back another time. I need to be isolated until this process, whatever it is complete. That night, 6 inches of wet snow blanketed the forest around our home. By morning, all the younger pine trees along both sides of the 1-mile dirt road that ends in our yard had bent over under the snow's weight. There must have been 100 of them bowing protectively across the road when I looked out the window the next morning. Since we had no electricity, television, or radio in those days, the snow-laden trees effectively cut off all access to the outside world, and they remained that way until the transmissions were complete. The fact that I had not previously known how to type must have been overlooked in the swirl of heightened consciousness, for when I awoke on the morning of January 6, 1979, there were 350 double-spaced typewritten pages stacked upon my desk, and my life had forever and irreversibly changed. Throughout those 11 days, as I was typing the notes that would later be published as the Starseed transmissions, I was told again and again by the entities who were blending with me that a much stronger surge of telepathic awareness was to be pulsed into the collective field of human consciousness between the years 1987 and 1989. It was emphasized that this would be far more powerful than the thought signals I was then receiving. This prediction turned out to be as precise as it had been drawn from as if it had been drawn from a moon calendar on a table of the tides. 10 years later, during the same period, telepathic messages began coming in, like subtle music in the background of my thoughts at first, then stronger, and finally with such power that I decided to stop everything and begin recording them. Since what I had captured on paper in the earlier Starseed transmissions was such a small percentage of the overall information flow I had received, I had resolved by this time to be better prepared. By speaking aloud into a tape recorder while receiving this present material, I was able to bypass the manual distractions of the typewriter and translate much of the awareness into the spoken word. Afterward, precise word-for-word transcription on a word processor brought into printed form a far more detailed and substantive account of the consciousness flow that had been possible 10 years earlier. Admittedly, my process was not perfect. I still had to stop now and then to put a log on the stove or adjust the window, but my distractions were kept to a minimum, and I am very happy with the result, which I am pleased to share with you in the form of this book. Okay, there's more to the preface, but I'm going to just go ahead and jump right in here because I think that gives you a really solid idea of, setting the tone of how this book came to be. Chapter 1 is called The Boundaries of Time. In these pages, we address you in a succession of different modes to ensure every possibility of your understanding and to maximize your opportunities to catch these thought currents and ride them beyond mere words to remembrance of your eternal nature and your root purpose for currently being incarnate on Earth in human form. Therefore, we speak to you at times as if you were still sleeping beneath the blankets of material plane illusion. For in fact, this is the present state of the human majority. At other times, we speak to you as if you yourself were the one who is awakening into the collective field of human consciousness. This is valid. It is how you will soon understand the quote-unquote I behind your outer roles and images of self. To the extent that you oscillate back and forth, at times experiencing moments of lucidity and oneness with the unified field of awareness, and at times lapsing back into the familiar thought patterns of the prevailing cultural mythology, you will find both forms of address of equal value. Allow your understanding of who you are to relax as you move through these pages. The historical limitations in which you have defined yourself are no longer valid. Indeed, they never were. Your eternal nature is much greater than the conceptions of time in which you have kept it defined. Release all that you are from the prison of your self-concepts, that we might become one in your understanding as we have always been one in reality. Allow present moment awareness to flow freely among your thoughts. You have created your body as a terrestrial terminal for the habitation of eternal awareness. You have designed eyes to interpret a portion of your energy spectrum and ears to interpret another. You have created 5 senses to have a window into these times upon this world, that, biologically clothed, you might better monitor and interact with these physical dimensions. You can no longer afford to sleep in the illusions of this culture, allowing the wonders of sensory input to confuse your senses of being with the information you receive. The times you live in require the activation of the full range of your eternal capacities. They call now, as we do, for your incarnation. When you define yourself without regard to your source in the eternal presence out of which this universe unfolds, when you continue to play out variations of the historical theme which keep your eternal spirit at arm's length by imagining absolute quote-unquote others in the world around you, the illusions of the material realm weigh heavily upon your consciousness. Forces that were intended only to hold energy firmly within atomic structure bind and limit your perception. Your outlook becomes sober. Your vision blurs beneath the emotional mists of excessive subjectivity. As gravity draws objects to fall, so too does it draw the thoughts of those who define themselves without reference to the source. And with their thoughts, their identities fall as well, back into matter, again and again. So it was said to the first egos who began to think of themselves in this fictitious way. In dust you have conceived yourselves, and to dust you will return. For all thought is dust in the minds of those who deny the reality that seeks birth in the manger of human form. When you define yourselves in isolation, your senses deceive and blind. They lock you into a fractional perception of the universe in which you live. Cultural illusions become your reality, filtering and misinterpreting everything you perceive. Like murky glass, they intervene between you and your understanding of self and world. They cut off awareness of your eternal origin and leave you with an inadequate sense of self. In the historical condition, human beings undertake the arduous task of self-definition. To receive assistance in this monumental work, they accept the help of others in their sleeping society and in time come to think of themselves as a loose assortment of images and illusions, often contradictory, always uninspired. The vibrancy of their eternal presence is blocked by ancestral preconceptions that have not known fundamental change since their forebears huddled in the hollows of the ancient hills. Those who later in life realize the limitations of this quote-unquote poor self-image often seek to improve their image of self. Yet, in undertaking a task in the natural order belongs solely to the life force itself. They succeed only, if they succeed at all, in remodeling their prisons. They may replace bars of iron with bars of brass, but the prison remains. Within it, their awareness stays limited and confined. There is but the finest veil between you and a full-dimensional perception of reality, the filmiest of screens between you and your eternal self. You require no elaborate techniques or ritual to release this veil. You need only open to the organic current of awareness that in every moment flows to you from the source of all life. When you accept your understanding that accompanies the awareness of your life force, you are defined no longer in the static images of yesterday's experience, but in active universal participation. You know yourself as an agent of the continuing creation that is the greater purpose and the great joy of these material realms. Though opening to life force awareness is as easy as relaxation, deliberation is needed to sustain such openness in a society where subconscious patterns continuously beckon you back into the familiar habits. Yet, if your love for reality is sufficiently strong, such deliberation is not difficult. Nothing can stop those whose hearts burn with genuine passion for the truth. And the truth, you will discover, is worth your passion, for the awareness that accompanies the current of your life is an eternal awareness. It is the awareness of your spirit. The self-understanding you receive in the experience of your eternal spirit is living, fluid, organic. You are the creator of all you survey. You know your body as a system of exquisite biological circuitry designed to project your vision into this material world and bring your awareness into sharp and immediate environmental focus. You know yourself as an expression of universal being, as a cell in the terrestrial body of the one whose consciousness is now awakening in the human family, a consciousness that is ultimately and beautifully your own. One being is the source of all creatures. The life of that being shines through the multiple prisms of diverse worlds, refracting, reflecting, becoming the many, yet remaining ever one in essence, like the colors of a spectrum or the cells of a body. The distinction between you and this being is not absolute but organic, like the distinction between leaves on a tree or the distinction between notes that contribute to the harmonies of a song. Behind your individuality, beneath your cultural images of self, that being is who you are. We bring you these transmissions that you might come to live once again as we do, in full consciousness of your source. All that stands between you and awareness of the being at the source of life can be released as easily as a sigh. Even now, you are but a breath away from the subtle perceptual shift that allows your identity to be transformed from solitary individual to the source of every individual, from the object of attention to the very flow of attention itself, from the content of consciousness to the awareness that brings all content to light. When you know yourself in this way, you recognize the others of your kind. You perceive us. We communicate. As our communication flows into communion, you recognize yourself in us. You awaken to awareness of our common sources. We are beings consciously inhabiting the universal presence. In the fields of space and time, we individualize qualities of the same being we share with you, even as you have also individualized other qualities of that being. Though not all of us have chosen, as you have chosen, to dress in human form, still, we are your family within time, your sisters, your brothers. Beyond time, we are one. We are a race of voyagers, spirit beings in the eternal fields of light. Yet we are you yourselves, as you would have been had you not succumbed to the spell of matter. We are you as you remain beyond material illusion, addressing in these pages a sleeping part of ourselves that you might awaken and know this awareness as your own. We would shine the light upon the reality of your presence from behind you, from above you, from beneath you, and at last you might recognize that light within you and awaken. There is only one who sleeps, though that one sleeps beneath 5 billion varying blankets of human illusion. 7 now. This was written a while ago. And there is but one who awakens, and awakening wears the blankets of former illusion as transformed robes of luminous biology. There is no word in this language that conveys the meaning of I, you, and we simultaneously. Yet it is in this understanding that these transmissions originate, and it is to this understanding that they lead. You are on both sides of this communication, giving and receiving, both forming these thoughts and being informed. We know within us a center of being that is itself beyond temporal creations. Centered in eternal identity, we are free to travel throughout the realms of past and future. Yet those among us who take on material form always do so in linear time. This is not a limitation, it is the mechanism of creation's frame. No artist would set out to paint a boundless canvas that stretched infinitely into all directions. So it is that we establish the parameters of the manifest worlds, framing each space in the boundaries of time. We have long known that a turning point would come in the unfoldment of this universal art, after which human beings would be our primary means of future creation, as well as the organ of awareness through whom we would interpret and enjoy the material plane. That time is now. We invite you to leave behind your historical impressions of the human experience that you might rise to your natural level of consciousness. Your human body has been designed to allow your self-awareness to ride upon the crest of creation's wave. At that precise breaking point where the one eternal wave splashes into the many and into their linear worlds of time. As a representative projection of eternity, a nerve ending of God in matter, you remain conscious of eternal unity while experiencing yourself as part of diversity's material fabric. To be the one and simultaneously the many, this is your calling, your purpose, the ultimate destiny of your kind. You who slumber still beneath the spell of matter, look beyond the descriptions of reality given by those who seek to lead you from without. Open to the living information of the little force that rises within you. This information is alive. It is the only guidance you require. At the deepest levels of your being, you have always known these things. Behind your roles and societal illusions, you are not separate from the source of life, nor are you cut off from the intelligence who, designing all forms and structure, breathes into it the breath of life. We who inhabit the fields of light share with you a common spirit. We knew you in the beginning, long before you dressed in robes of soil and stream. In oneness with you, we sent forth the harmonic currents that brought this world to be. Together we parted the skies and opened the waters of the heavens. Where were you then, if not with us? Together we formed the mountains and river valleys. Together we tapped the well springs of the deep. Together we poured our radiance into this world and quickened her creatures of water, earth, and sky. Come, let us reunite, brush away the dusty thoughts of a darker age. Time and space do not revolve around humankind, but our dreams do, our plans do. We are depending on you to bring shape and texture to the order that has rested implicit within all creation since before the first starry nebula illumined dimensional space. We're inviting you to help us bring into physical formation the vision that inspires the universe. Do you see, O humans of this present world? Do you understand? You are the template, the prototype of a new and universal species, part solar, part material, both temporal and eternal, the species that will span the gulf between the visible and invisible, bringing new worlds into form. Through you, a new and unprecedented cycle of creation will occur. The awareness we call you towards lies far above the tangled circuits of linguistically structured thought. Its perceptions differ from your present and quickly passing cultural perceptions as greatly as the world of waking differs from the deepest midnight slumber. Echoes of this awareness have ever haunted the historical continuum, surfacing here and there in your better music, glimmering occasionally in your finest art. But when you entertain the open and unbiased vision of eternity, even the best of what has been grows dim in the light of what you see. For in truth, even the finest moments of the human past are but crude two-dimensional caricatures of the future that is soon to be. Ah, love that. How inspiring. Isn't it beautifully written? Doesn't it feel different to perceive yourself in this way? Can you remember not so long ago where you maybe had no idea that this was going on, that you are Source incarnate? You're the only one in the room. It's all extensions of you. Who else to make it? Who else to have the big come from behind win, right? Who else to enter into a life beyond their wildest dreams? There is no other to do it. It's you. You're the one. You are it. What do you want from here? What do you believe is possible for you from here? It's all possible from here. What limit you should choose to impose will really be the defining factor. I would say remove as many limits as you can. Remove them. Envision yourself coming from behind in the 11th hour, making it to everything you had given up on long ago. How many of you out there have let go of those dreams that you once had? They're still there, though, if you think about them, if you tune into them. It's like a pang in your heart, right? It's still there. It wants to be expressed. It wants to be lived. And it may come even in a different form or a variation, another version of it. But the underlying energy of it is there, and it wants to be expressed, and it can be expressed. In future timelines from this moment, it is expressed. The question is, will you step into those timelines? Will you believe in yourself enough? Will you believe that you have it all within you, all the power to call forth, as Jesus said, with the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. Do you believe that you can move a mountain and create the dream life from this moment forward? The most absolute, beautiful, amazing experience? Start monitoring those thoughts, changing those thoughts that tell a limiting story. You are pure magic. You are something magical, as the sign sitting next to me that will hang in the Mystic Manor says. You are something magical, each and every one of you. That sign's for you. That sign's for me. I love you all so, so much. I do have a song to leave you with here. It is Deadova, who actually wrote a song about Return of the Bird Tribes. I think I played it before, so I'm going to play a different one that's similar. Well, similar in name anyway. Winged One. This is Winged One for all you winged ones, all you angels descended to earth, all you caterpillars becoming butterflies out there, spreading your wings. Hope you enjoy. Till next time, journey well. Also, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to let you all know that we have finally created the Game with the Universe on our website, where you can choose the first number that comes to your mind, and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time by doing this manually. But now if you go to positivehead.com/YO universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and grandest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to engage and invite friends, family, people on social media to check out the podcast as well. So be sure to check out positivehead.com/YOUNIVERSE, and be sure to tell all your friends so they can play a game with the universe, which also helps the show to reach new people, which I greatly appreciate. And as a quick reminder, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them every day. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and greatest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I can't stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so, and I'm sincerely excited to share it with all of you. Lastly, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
Peace.